As our law enforcement officers have been assaulted, they've been pelted with rocks and bricks. Their cars have been set on fire. Molotov cocktails have been used. We have seen people throw bottles and hammers at them. We've also seen that they have been attacked and verbally spit on or punched or assaulted, and it's just not acceptable. The Department of Homeland Security and the officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles.
A half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have been put in jeopardy, and that we're not going to allow that anymore as well. That those individuals who are purposely endangering our ICE agents and our law enforcement officers and their families will be prosecuted for what they are doing as far as perpetuating violence on them.
Thanks for your time.
Line aside, guys. Line aside. We're right here already. Line aside, guys.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Never put your hand on me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues, have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country. We will hold this administration accountable.
People never cease to amaze me in terms of how full of crap they can be. You watched a compilation of Noem's press conference and then Padilla getting thrown out and then Padilla saying that if they can treat me this way, imagine how they could treat, illegal immigrants or people of a lower status than the U.S. Senator. And man, when I didn't put it in there because I didn't want this video to end up being like 20 or 30 minutes long, but Noem responded later on by saying that she didn't know who Padilla was and that he lunged towards her. And it's like, I don't normally bring up the age of these people, but like with Trump, sometimes I can kind of excuse his lies about things that are on camera because I know that he lived a full adult life without social media and just being in this like really recorded digital age. Noem had the audacity to say that she didn't know who Padilla was, in spite of the fact that on the goddamn video of the incident, he says his name. When they're going and accosting him before they put him in handcuffs, he identifies himself as a senator. Now, in a separate interview he talked about having security clearance, and that's another like part of why she's full of crap, because these buildings are not just going to randomly let in some guy. So even if we give her the benefit of the doubt and say, most people don't know the politicians of, any given state that they might go to, because I probably could not name all 100 senators. I could name at least 30, 40, 50 of them. But again, even if we give her the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, she didn't know that, Padilla was a U.S. senator or know him well enough to like see him and then instantly recognize him as one of those. The fact is, who the hell else would be in that building trying to ask you questions by virtue of even being able to get in there, because they don't just let any random person in there. And also, you still don't know who he is when he says his name, when he says his position as he's getting arrested. And man, I was really thinking about this, just kind of playing the video over and over again, just trying to see what all the angles and claims were. She said that he lunged at her. Now, if you watch the video, and like I'm not going to pretend I have some ruler in front of me, but if you watch the video, you can see where there is a very clear distance between the podium that Noem is sitting at, or standing at rather, with a little hat, and where Padilla is like, he's closer to the reporters and other assorted characters that are there. The idea that she was afraid with all of these different members of law enforcement and it starts getting just too goofy. Like, I don't know why they can't just come out and say, we're in this weird authoritarian state where if these people are even challenged by other lawmakers, they retaliate by getting them thrown out of there. Do you think, and like, I'm not even one of the people that normally does the whole, Trump is a dictator thing, but you would not have seen it could have been the Biden era, the Obama era, because they had ICE too. In fact, as I've said before, Obama deported more illegal immigrants than any president before him, over 2 million. But you would not have seen Obama's or Biden's Homeland Security Secretary giving a press conference, and then, in like Florida or Texas or somewhere like that, and then, like Cruz or Rubio tries to speak, and they're like, oh, I didn't know who that was, and I was afraid, and I was terrified. It's like, no, it would be very obvious if they're holding this press conference in a government building that whoever is there is someone who has clearance to be there. And man, the thing that gets me is like Noem talking about liberating Los Angeles, and they're gonna free the people over there. It's like, let's keep it real. The problems facing LA have a lot to do with a housing crisis, a lot of homeless people. I would say that the state, just in general, but that area specifically, right, second largest city in America, is also affected by a lot of people who don't even have a goddamn job because there's so many people applying for stuff. Like, what I'm getting at here is, like, she talks about liberating Los Angeles. What they want to do is come in the city, take a whole bunch of illegal immigrants out of there, some people that are legal as well, because why not? And then go right back to Washington, D.C. and give themselves a big pat on the back. And then all the people who are affected by the regular daily societal ills will continue to be affected by those things indefinitely. She's liberating Los Angeles. Man, I wish Noem came here and did a press conference and said, we need to like actually make it to where it's not a normal thing for people to be sleeping in their cars, and 80% of their check going to living in a little 1-bedroom apartment. You know, if she did that, I'd be the first one, you know, clapping. But it's all theatrics, and unfortunately for the Republicans, Padilla is going to be able to take this clip of him getting arrested and play it for the rest of his political career. I was a martyr for immigrants and human rights. And of course, I don't believe he was like so incensed. Like, he probably didn't expect to get arrested. I think that's a fair assessment, but I don't think he was like so incensed by what she was saying. She was saying some stupid stuff, but I don't think it like pissed him off to some great deal. But now, anytime he runs for re-election or possibly even some other position, he can just take that clip and play it over and over and over again. The clip of them slamming him, and they treated him like a goddamn criminal. I mean, like, he is kind of resisting it a little bit, but I think that's more just the sort of like surprise that, hey, I'm in here, I'm an elected official, I want to ask this secretary a question, and they don't care. They start, it was nuts. But he's been given a real PR victory with this. He'll be able to take it, and, you know, people will rightfully take his side, because we should not live in a country where lawmakers can get arrested for just asking another supposed lawmaker, I guess, you know, someone who's like a lawmaker, affiliate, secretary of Homeland Security, a question, and then they have handcuffs slapped on them. So it doesn't look like these riots are going to stop anytime soon. They can keep on deploying all the members of the National Guard and putting up curfews and whatnot, but you're not doing yourself any favors when you have protests which are kicked off by this idea that, you know, if my mother or brother or cousin is going to get deported, right, then I don't care about your laws anymore. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're like, well, this person wants to ask a question at a press conference. Who cares if they're a senator? You know, Secretary Noem is speaking. So they're it is nuts, man. And I don't even, you know, Padilla is just like a generic Democrat to me. I like him more than Schiff, but that's a low bar. But man, they made him look really good